focus on and some examples. We have from Saudi Arabia in partnership with the World Bank. They pledged dollars to create a global fund dedicated to sustainable growth. The example is the United Nations Development Program travel agency. They developed sustainable tourism routes aimed at development along those routes, and as well as raise awareness around responsible tourism. And Malaysian National Tourism launched last year aligns with the United Nations SDGs. That is very important. One last example of sustainability is there's a new startup called Charitable Travel, and it's social travel company, and it launched during the coronavirus pandemic. Holiday makers book, donate a portion of holiday price registered. That's a UK-based company. Sustainability, much as really a good sign, and it's very important. Another signal and sign that we saw is interesting business model. At the time when tourism was at a standstill, do something to earning revenue. Malaysia's AirAsia
Assalamualaikum, Maimi.
Salam doktor. Doktor, sorry saya email hari Ahad.
Oh, you email saya hari Ahad?
Hari tu, tapi saya kacau doktor hari.
Dah dapat tak? Awak tanya siapa tu?
Saya tanya, boleh ke nak pergi 3 orang untuk meeting dengan restoran tu? Tapi kita pergi je berempat lah.
Okay, boleh. Tak ada masalah, boleh. So, how is it? Is it okay?
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Dia punya, orang kata bos tu sangat sporting lah.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Nanti share dalam lab kita,
InsyaAllah. Doktor yang lain, diorang ada tengah test. Kita baru habis test.
Tak apa, saya tunggu. Tak apa.
Thank you.
Alright.
During the pandemic.
Can I just interrupt and ask questions? You mentioned on the opportunities that there's a rise in domestic travel. Is this fairly universal on this thing? Is there any untoward incident because of the sudden influx?
I believe
It's across the globe.
It is across the globe, and especially and it's really dependent also on the restrictions. Some countries have restrictions in terms of moving from one city to another. Other countries like Singapore, there were staycations, but you could really travel that. In the U.S., it's so huge. A lot of people were taking work trips. They would have traveled internationally, but instead visited destinations they hadn't visited in the U.S. I think it is a global trend. Countries have been encouraging it, and I think it's here to stay. As travelers explore destinations in their backyard, continue visiting domestic destinations in addition abroad as it becomes safer and more open.
In your research, are the people that you interact with are very eager to cross the borders, or they're very, very cautious? because yesterday we had some deliberation on in terms of pricing issue. In your findings, are there any issues of pricing?
It is not their findings. They just share other people's findings.
Started this donation campaign and so forth. So maybe they
Welcome, guys. Let's wait for the rest of the class to come in. Yeah, I was informed by your class rep that there is an exam. Yeah, first test.
can share with us.
So let's wait for the rest of the class. Okay, kita tunggu kawan awak semua. Okay.
Okay.
One thing is that there is definitely some demand and people have saved up money from not traveling.
Siapa boleh dengar saya sedang I'm following the live nampak ke? It's a live conference on World Islamic Tourism held in the
Because in Malaysia, in particular,
WTC, World Trade Center sekarang panggil Kuala Lumpur World Trade Center, WTC lah.
by the providers. Therefore, we have to have a fair balance. If across the globe there is no sentiments, then we are ready when the borders are open. I think inshallah we can introduce a fair market price according to demands. Anything else that you want to share in terms of soft market? In order how any findings and markets are soft, how unsustained, or how we nation travelers want and so forth from your perspective.
Thing that I wanted to share very briefly and some of our findings that we're seeing across is that immigrants are at levels of being ready and also at different levels of whether there's openness or not. This picture is from my family and I in last summer. Was doing a upfront and open this year throughout the summer. And even when they had quarantine, when they had restrictions, it was the lockdown. Other countries, for example, Saudi Arabia, very strict restrictions and at the same time, they've been
Guys, for those who are already in the room, could you please open your videos so that in 5 minutes time we will start our lecture for today, inshallah. Okay.
Okay, great. Can this be available on your web that viewers can download?
Alright, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How was the exam? How was the first test? Was it good?
Good, Doctor.
Good, alhamdulillah. Subjek siapa tu?
Dr. Fatima.
Siti Fatimah? Dr. Siti Fatimah? Alah, bolehnya semua sekolah tu. InsyaAllah. Alright, insyaAllah for today, we will continue because there's quite a number of things that we want to discuss. So I hope that within 1.5 hours that we can cover all these 6 agenda that we have. I put in the chat section. Meantime, actually, I'm like I've informed to some of you just now. I was following the World Islamic Tourism punya live conference, which is held by Islamic Tourism Council Malaysia. For those who don't know, that we have this segment of tourism which is still debatable, yeah. Because either World is it Islamic tourism? Is it to promote the Islamic tourism or Islamic friendly tourism punya apa namanya packages that we have? So dia pun confused. Dia buat marketing, but then the marketing also confused. So saya tengok saya senyum lah. Okay. And then the same time I'm also following, for those who see I share in my Facebook, siapa yang nampak Facebook saya, I share another conference. Saya attend 2 conference rentak ni. Sebab tu tiba-tiba buang terbiat pakai tie. Kalau tak ada saya pakai tie ada. There's another conference which is on Pendeta Zakbar. Siapa yang tinggal KPZ kan? Is organized by Museum Negeri Sembilan. Pendeta Zakbar ni one of the critical thinker of Malay academics. Tapi dia background dia, orang dia berbeza-beza. Salah satu buku dia yang terkenal, yang saya pun tengah cari nak baca, bukan baca sebab nak buang terbiat, tidak. Tapi sebabnya buku dia tu dia is a very critical book which criticize Malays in the general terms of Malaysian, berdasarkan kepada apa bukunya, tajuk dia perangai sikap berdasarkan perangai masing-masing. Tentulah lebih kurang buku. The interesting part was the book was published by him. Dia sekitar tahun 1950-an. 5 tahun selepas dia meninggal. Sebab kalau dia terbitkan ketika dia masih hidup, buku dia tu pasti tak dapat orang semua nak baca. Sebab dia criticize every single part of the community very pedas. Contohnya, kalau rumah terbakar, kenapa kau bodoh duduk tengok? Pergilah cari tanah baru, carilah rumah baru, buat rumah baru. Dia tengok rumah terbakar, kenapa? Dia. Jadi, criticize of the community, not only Malay community, but Malaysian in general. Okay? So, 2 conference saya ikut serentak ni. Anyways, pagi pula tadi saya tengok ada orang Melaka sini. Orang Melaka pula sibuk nak berpilihan raya. Hari ni is the first time. Towards the end nanti saya akan bagi satu soalan cepu mas for you guys to observe and think and try to relate whatever I have teach you guys for the last 4 to 5 weeks. Ini minggu kelima kan? So the past 5 weeks, how you can look into some part of what we will learn today. And what another part of what we have learned before. Okay, so insyaAllah, before that, any other questions, any question ataupun clarification from my part before I start the class? Video kita punya lecture dan juga 3rd week punya lab saya dah upload dalam YouTube channel. Please go through. And for the last week punya lab dalam proses, saya tengah uploadkan sekarang. Alright, any question before I can proceed with the lecture? Boleh? Semua sihat? Dah minum semua? Siapa belum minum boleh pergi ambil air. Minum, saya tak ada ambil air ini, saya botol besar ni. Sebab malas nak bangun kan, botol besar ni. Alright. So the first agenda that we have, if you guys look into the in the middle of me talking, you guys kan boleh raise your hand ke ataupun just tanya, doktor, apa benda ni? Tak faham, you can just ask me. Now, to recap a few theories explained in the previous lecture. Okay, the first agenda. Last week we trying to understand the scenario of what is organization is all about. We did mention about some of the theory, like for instance division of innovation theory, yang saya ada sebut tentang difference between individual and organizational. Orang perseorangan dan juga a company they have a different interest in terms of adopting a new things, adopting a new innovations. In this instance, we are talking about information system lah. But in your instance, that theory can be used for any other innovation. because Theory Diffusion of Innovation by R.M. Rogers ni, buku hitam yang saya tunjuk minggu lepas, buku ni yang saya tak menggunakan pun saya punya credit card tu. Credit card tu saya pergi shopping tu. Okay. The theory is actually based on hybrid corn. 1963, 1963, teori itu bermula dengan the innovation of a hybrid corn. It's based on the agriculture, but towards the end, saya rasa the last version was 2007, the book. I think Professor Rogers, I think he admitted that the latest innovation and forever will be, insyaAllah, dia tak cakap insyaAllah lah, saya cakap insyaAllah, is perhaps the information system. Because anything that happens today is based on information system punya introduction. Okay. And then in that particular theory juga, I did mention to you guys there is a categories of late adopters, innovators, and so on and so forth. So, but people always say that the innovators will use the innovation, will use orang yang ada pemikiran yang begitu agresif ni, orang belum kenal lagi dia dah masuk gunakan innovation. Orang yang begitu skeptical ataupun dalam marketing kita kategorikan ya, we categorize all the users as based on the years of born. Macam you guys ni banyak apa? Millennium. Lahir tahun berapa? 2000? Generally?
99.
1999. Okay, you guys ni millennium lah ni. Oh, millennia, kita panggil millennia, keturunan pula, generasi keturunan pula. Ya. Generation millennial kita panggil. Kalau dengar Datuk Seri Najib bercerita dululah sebelum masa dia Perdana Menteri dulu, saya juga attended few session of him, especially when they wanted to do TM50 ya. TM50 dulu dia bercakap, "Hey, hello millennial." Dia suka cakap itu. Datuk Seri Najib sekarang tak tahulah millennial kat mana, saya tak tahulah dia kan. Anyways, millennials ya, marketers love to categorize you guys into group of the years. Ya, macam keturunan bapa saya, mungkin datuk kamu lah kot. Bapa saya, arwah bapa saya, mak saya ni kita panggil dia baby boomers. Pernah dengar tak perkataan baby boomers? Baby boomers, dia nampak teknologi dia terkejut. Tersedak tu. Apa benda ni? Dia tersedak. And then the types of the categories of the users ni, kita ada generation X, Y, Z. Saya tak tahu saya beritahu generation berapa, nanti semua orang tahu umur saya berapa kan. Doktor bukan dah terlepas cakap pada itu umur berapa. Itulah tahu sendirilah. Kemudian we have millennials. Kemudian ada kumpulan X, Z, macam-macam keluar. But based on this, the theory of the UI come up with the innovators, early majority, early adopters, early majority, late adopters, and laggards. Dia kata teori itu mudah saya cakap. Dia cakap siapa yang lambat, siapa yang lahir tahun yang lambat, yang lama macam baby boomers, 1950s to 1960s, ya, towards the late of 60s, dia baby boomers. Jadi baby boomers ni late adopters. Itu teori R.M. Rogers. Tapi teori Dr. Farid, when I did my PhD, I come up with a new theory. This theory you all boleh baca dalam Journal of IT and Tourism. My theory is, I'm saying the theory name is leapfrogging effect. Tahu leapfrogging effect? Leapfrogging. Siapa pernah main leapfrogging? Leapfrogging tu lompat katak. Yang ada seorang duduk tengah, waktu belakang tu naik belakang dia, lompat dia. It's like, let me show kalau ada. Ini teori Dr. Farid. Saya tengok leapfrogging ada tak? Keluarlah gambar Dr. Farid. Leapfrogging, Dr. Farid tengah leapfrogging. Okay. Let me share. Okay. Apa teori Dr. Farid? Dr. Farid kata ni, this is the theory. Semua orang nampak tak gambar? Okay, gambar ni, gambar adik-adik bergembira ni. Okay, this is what you call as a leapfrogging effect. Yeah. Alright. Leapfrogging effects teori yang saya perkenalkan. I was saying that those company yang lambat, okay, boleh dengar? Okay, alright. Tadi dia hanging okay. The leapfrogging effects, frogging tu kata tu. Masa saya buat my PhD, leapfrogging, lompat kata. Saya setiap kali masuk office during that time, my supervisor buat bunyi kata. Farid, Rabbit, dia tahu, Mak Salih perli aku. Sebab saya punya teori is leapfrogging effects. What I'm saying is, sesiapa yang lambat menggunakan teknologi, for those who are late to adopt any of the information system, like for instance, katalah Malaysia sekarang, last week, there is a launching of 5G in Malaysia. Ada isunya, ada setengah orang kata that is the second 1 MDB. Sebabnya satu company je buat 5G tu, mana boleh satu company kan. Itu dia biarlah dia orang parlimen yang bicara. Yang kita nak faham is the new 5G ni dikatakan Malaysia dah terlambat. Negara-negara lain, all the countries surrounding us is already at that level. Contohnya kalau kita cerita Singapura, dia for those who are using VPN, tahu VPN? Yang guna secret IP. Kalau you all nak cepat, you pergi Australia punya VPN, masuk address katalah di Australia ataupun paling common you letak diri you dekat Singapura. The internet will zoom like macam hiking terus. Laju je. Laju. Sebab they are using 5G. Okay. So Malaysia, we are going towards that. Tapi hopefully, finger cross kata Mak Saleh, minta-minta kata orang Melayu, minta-minta kita tak naklah 5G kita nak, tapi kat kampung masih saya 2G. Tak nak macam tu. Kan? Kat kampung masih macam kura-kura lagi, tapi kat bandar dah 5G. That is not the real thing what we want. But nonetheless, my theory of leapfrogging effect saying that if even though that we are the late adopters katakan sekarang, ataupun late majority katakan, kumpulan yang lambat menggunakan 5G technology surround Malaysia, but because of our capability, kita boleh melangkaui, leapfrogging tu melangkau. Sesiapa yang lambat menggunakan teknologi mampu untuk performs better daripada orang yang mula-mula guna teknologi. For instance, contoh, saya tak nak pergi jauh, mak saya. Mak saya the late adopters of Instagram. But she use Instagram much better than myself. Saya terpaksa sebab saya mengajar kan. So, ada je benda baru saya masuk. TikTok pun aku masuk, semua masuk. Whereby semua saya masuk. Sebab nak jadi innovator kan. Tapi, my theory of leapfrogging effects, saya tak pasti ada tidak. You all boleh tangkap leapfrogging effects, Dr. Farid. You type dalam Google Scholar boleh nampak paper saya. That paper saying that orang yang lambat ni ada potential untuk perform better in terms of performance. Sebabnya dia dah tengok orang semua macam apa faktor gagalnya, apa faktor tak betulnya. Macam mana nak buat ni, dia dah belajar dulu before they adopt the technology. So there is a tendency. Just to share with you, this is the paper that I won the best paper dalam Australia and New Zealand marketing punya conference, and I was shocked when I presented that paper. Bilik hall tu semua penuh. Saya jadi menggelabah. Orang putih semua bombarded me with question because the theory of diffusion of innovation kata tak boleh. Dia kata mesti semua orang guna teknologi face by face based on the group ages. Tapi untuk nama Farid ni dia kata no. Orang yang lambat tu boleh perform better. And I proved it? Yes. Yeah. Towards the end of my PhD, you guys boleh tengok sebab PhD saya is doing on Facebook adoption by all 191 companies all over the world. 191 tourism organization. Macam Tourism Malaysia, Tourism Thailand, Wonderful Indonesia, Lesotho lah, Berlin lah, all this tourism ni, yang paling hebat sekali tourism mana kan? Penggunaan Facebook. Antara the first adopter is Malaysia. Facebook, penggunaan Facebook yang paling mula-mula ialah Malaysia, Amerika, UK. Yang paling last, antara yang paling lewat sikit, Australia, Lesotho. Ada negara nama Lesotho. Berlin, atau satu lagi is Cameroon. And my research found out negara-negara yang kecil-kecil ni yang lambat nak gunakan all these Facebook pages to promote their tourism, they are doing much better than Malaysia. Ya ke doktor? Ya. Sebab apa tahu? Malaysia don't allow people to share anything on their Facebook pages. Sedangkan contoh Australia, every 6 second, saya buat research tu together with my colleagues, he's a Germany guy. Kita orang buat content analysis, is keep changing within 2 second. Gambar dia tukar. And we cannot susah nak detect satu gambar yang sama pada masa yang sama, mesti boleh tukar. Why? Because they allow their users to share the context. Maknanya kalau saya ada di Sydney, saya boleh ambil gambar, saya share. Contoh. Kalau you guys semua ada di mana? Katalah saya ada 33 student, 33 location. Just imagine, if you guys been allowed to share your experience online learning process dengan saya ni, dekat 33 tempat yang berbeza, you share dalam Facebook UPM. Kan tu satu marketing daripada user. Tapi UPM tak benar kan? UPM didn't allow student to share on their Facebook. Student memberontak, student buat confession. Betul? You guys tahu Putra Confession? Putra Confession is one of the ideas because we cannot share anything, student cakap. Kita come up with our own Putra Confession. Confess macam-macam dalam tu. So these are the things we will talk more about that dalam social media, social marketing nanti. But I just want to recap the theories actually. So from there, I will continue with the second agenda, which is understanding business process and towards the end. But before we go to the other chapters, the other agenda yang saya dah list down kan tu, I just want to mention one theory. Teori yang saya tak sempat share with you guys when we first talk about digitalization. And this is a very, very important theory, which I forgotten to mention to you guys. The theory is what I call as, not me call, it is Professor Kalyanam. The Professor Hansen and Kalyanam. What Kalyanam? Bukan Kalyanam, Kalyanam bahasa apa ni, Tamil is kahwin. Betul ke, Priyanka? Kalyanam. Ini dia Kalyanam. Professor Watt Hansen and Kirti Kalyanam. He's an Indian professor based in the US. What they say is that whatever digitalization berlaku, is based on 3 factors, what they call as cikgu terlupa. GPT. General, okay. GPT is stand for general. General purpose. Allah, I lupa dah tu. General purpose of technology. Digitalization yang kita dengar kata digital ni. to understand, tak kenal maka tak cinta kan, saya cerita. We did talk about the organization punya process ya. Last week, to recap one more thing is kita faham tentang structure of the organization, the level, different level need different thing, functional areas kan. So now I want to relate all those things with why they need digitalization. Now, based on Professor Hansen and Kalyanam, what they say is there is 3 reasons. Yeah, GPT-1, they call it general purpose technology 1, yeah, which is internet revolution. Okay, GPT-2 is about networking. And GPT-3 ataupun faktor yang ketiga berlakunya digitalization is because of individualism. Ini individualism. Yeah. Ini why people are doing digital. Jadi saya kalau boleh all my student after this, you can speak better than the Prime Minister lah. Because the Prime Minister sometimes they can say, oh digitalization, you angkat tangan, uncle, can I ask you what is digitalization? Nah, dia tak dapat jawab. Digital, dengar. Apa digital? Tak tahu. Mes saya terang. Digitalization happen because of 3 reasons. GPT-1, GPT-2, GPT-3. One is because the internet revolution. Now, before we have internet, there is no such thing as digitalization. Orang tak kenal. Dia sebut situ sebagai revolution. Revolution tu sebab apa? Revolution ni bukan reformasi. Reformasi je Malaysia ni, dia reformasi je kan. Dia lebih cakap macam tu je. Revolution is like the English Revolution, French Revolution, ataupun kita kata Industrial Revolution yang you all dengar sebagai IR 4.0 kan dengar. Ya, menteri-menteri Malaysia sebut IR 4.0. Macam-macam kat kampung tahu tak apa 4.0? Tak payah susahlah tanya student Malaysia. Tahu apa IR 4.0? Kadang-kadang when we first introduce terms, kita terlupa nak terang kepada orang. This is not a good thing. Kita sebut digitalization. Orang kampung tak tahu apa itu digitalization. So you guys are the agents. Saya lantik semua student saya, 33 orang, semua jadi agent kepada saya untuk terang kepada orang kampung apa itu digitalization. Okay, sebabnya orang kalau dia tak faham, if you don't understand, macam mana you nak jatuh cinta? Kan? Kalau you dah kenal, maka baru you cinta ke orang. Ada ke orang? Adalah orang dulu-dulu lah kot. Kahwin dulu, cinta kemudian. Lepas tu parah. Kadar perceraian meningkat di Malaysia. Ambil kau. Kan? So that's the thing. Now, the first thing is internet revolution. Revolution is something which is berlaku dengan begitu agresif. Industrial revolution. Ataupun Renaissance revolution. Bila zaman gelap, you all semua belajar sejarah kan, form 3, form 4, form 5 kan. Zaman gelap, orang putih. Tiba-tiba dia jadi zaman cerah dia. Sebab apa cerah? Dia ambil satu revolusi, kata dia revolusi Inggeris. Revolusi industri. So same goes with digitalization. It happens when internet was introduced back to the late 1990s. I told you the story where I'm very scared. Nak masuk dalam, cerita belum saya tak pastilah, nak masuk dalam cyber cafe, lutut menggigil. When I first want to make my own Gmail, sekarang saya ada Gmail dah dekat 6, 7, 8 dah ada Gmail. Dulu my first email was with yahoo.com. Nama pun pakai ayat 81, tak bagi tahu umur dah tu. Dulu zaman-zaman tu, apa aku nak letak ni, apa aku nak letak ni, takut. That was, I think, late 1990s. And the person who introduced me, sebab tu saya kata jangan pandang rendah orang kampung, orang gurun Kedah. Orang tu dia ceruk mana tahu dekat Kedah tu. Orang gurun. Nama pun gurun. Saya, kawan baik saya, waktu matrik, Mak Kiak nama dia. Ya, hang ni duk kelumpur. Aku ada email, hang tak ada email. Pasal apa hang bodoh? Jadi dia bawa saya untuk buat email dalam cyber cafe di College Marakulim waktu tu. Saya ada ketak. I was really like scared. Before that is not the first time I see computer, but I was scared. Apa benar? Hang kata apa benar ni? Apa benar? Hang kelumpur je buat mana kelumpur dia kata. Orang Kedah marah orang kelumpur. Orang Kedah lah tu Ceruk Miku tu, dekat Ceruk Gurut ya. But he introduced me and that was the time when internet revolution are very aggressive. Ya, zaman-zaman Friendster lah, zaman-zaman MySpace kan. Gambar background tu jatuh-jatuh, glittering tu. Ya, gambar-gambar apa ni? Gambar saya selalu kutuk mak saya. Tadika dia dulu nak masuk page tu banyak sangat gambar-gambar kartun tek. Mana cerita kata Tadika mak? Gambar kartun je gerakan orang bosan orang lagi tak masuk dalam page tu dah. Zaman tu Now this revolution happens and when it happens everyone started to realize about the importance of digitalization. And secondly is when there is a networking or in other words is globalization. Orang tak tahu sebab itu saya bagi dalam first assignment you guys tentang world is flat. I recap juga saya recap what that is mean. What does it means by world is flat is there is no difference. You guys punya tu saya tak baca lagi, insyaAllah saya baca dalam minggu ni. It's where everyone have the same level. And everyone can work with anyone, the world collaboration. And there is a need for networking. Like for instance, the conference yang saya tengah tengok ni, World Tourism Conference, saya just play je supaya nak dapat attendance kan. Saya masuk je lah. Kan? So, the speakers are coming from Dubai, from Qatar, from Malaysia, and from Australia. Tapi conference-nya di KL. So, this is what you mean by world is flat. It is a metaphor. It's a metaphor. Adalah perumpamaan. Dunia itu bukan lagi bulat tapi leper. Leper kenapa? Kerana semua orang ada same opportunities because of the GPT number 2 leaded by GPT number 1. GPT number 1 is because internet revolution berlaku. Semua orang boleh bercakap. Saya ingat I was interviewed by my supervisor menggunakan Skype 15 tahun lepas. Berapa tahun? 15 tahun lepas. Masa saya buat master dah kena interview. And that was the time when networking is everything. Alright. And then the third GPT dia kata kenapa berlaku digitalization is because individualism. Individualism ni apa? Sifat apa nak panggil bahasa Melayunya? Bolehlah kita kata penting diri sendiri individualistic. In the terms of marketing, individualistic is that we can aim whoever we want to focus on our marketing, for instance. You can do collaboration with anyone that you want to collaborate with. Specifically, I still remember the first time I do GPS punya marketing, saya jatuhkan pin Lesotho katakan. Lesotho ni ada yang tanya belakang negeri mana ni? Lesotho ni one of the African nation. Tapi dia negeri kecil tapi very aggressive. Macam Bahrain. Bahrain tahu Bahrain? Bahrain is, saya tahu negara-negara ni sebabnya saya buat 191 negara tu. I travel the world within 24 hours. Orang 30 days kan, saya 24 hours. Duduk depan komputer pergi setiap negara. Bahrain is a very small country towards the end of Hijaz, of Semenanjung Arab. Hujung sekali ada satu pulau. My best friend is coming from there. Mr. Ali Samiyeh. Kalau dengar si Ali, dia tergelak. Negeri dia kecil je. Pulau. Tapi they have everything there. Dia punya the progression of internet, subhanallah. Lagi laju daripada Malaysia. Tapi bila dia dah maju macam tu, Arab Saudi pula sibuk pergi bom negara. Biasalah Arab Saudi kan, suka bom negara orang. Tak boleh tengok orang tu maju sikit, dia bom. Dia bom zaman negara. So that is the thing. Individualism is by saying that people can focus In other word, customization tahu? You all ni belajar food management kan? Customization, tahu customization? What is the difference between mass production and customization? Siapa nak jawab? Mass production dengan customization. Ada ambil kelas supply chain management, ada ambil kelas.
Ada
Apa beza?
mass tu kita buat bulk lah macam banyak. Mostly macam benda yang macam macam mana nak cakap? But then customization benda yang customer nak specific. So dia limit quantity.
Okey, bagus Alia. Nanti bagi saya detail, nanti saya hantar food grab. Ada yang dah dapatkan food grab kan? Okey, nanti bagi tahu saya detail, nanti saya duit terbang ni. Duit terbang pergi kat you all. Sebab saya apa ni Syafiqah I tak tahu apa yang you minat. Nanti kalau saya beli aiskrim, dia tak makan aiskrim kan. Jadi saya bagi duit terbang. So you guys beli sendiri nanti. Alright. So that's apa yang Alia sebut tadi tu betul. Yeah. It is about customization is based on what the preference of the consumer. If you talk about mass communication pula, mass production is you product katakan jeruk asam, jeruk asam 50 sen tu, dia buat sama je in a very bulk production. So same goes with the GPT number 3 ni. If you talk about individualism, sama-sama Ain, Syafiqah, okay. Is talking about where you customize apa namanya the needs of every single organization or every single individual. Remember that I told you last week that it must be differentiate individual and organization. Ya, individual dia ada kepentingan dia, organization pun ada kepentingannya. And this individualism individualism ni mengatakan you can focus either on the needs of the individual or the needs of the organization. You customize based on what they need. And by doing so, itu nanti kita akan belajar dalam chapter 5 bila kita cerita pasal other user generated content. Ya, bila specifically talking about what you like. What is my preference might be different from what Khalisha likes. Berbeza dengan apa yang Haris minat. So these are the things that might be different. And the differences we have to celebrate. We have to celebrate the kepelbagaian tu, we have to celebrate. We cannot make everyone standardized. That's why I'm the big bukan saya ni selalu nak bangkang ya, tapi I'm a big against of using UPM punya website warna merah aja semua. Sakit mata student. Orang masuk je sama. Ni website food tech ke? Website veterina? Ni ke SCP? Kenapa warna sama? Bila saya cakap macam tu, dia orang pun bagilah. I used to be the advisor for Vice Chancellor. Tiba-tiba dia tukar. Dia kata, okeylah Dr. Farid, you bising sangat. Kita bagi setiap PTJ boleh tukar warna. Alah, tukar warna je. Okeylah, tak apalah. Adalah perubahan. Ya? Ada perubahan daripada warna merah. Semua warna merah. Saya masa tu tengok, Allah sakit mata lah Prof. Saya tengok pun sakit mata. And during that time, they didn't know. Saya tak pasti you guys dah masuk UPM belum tidak. They put the rendering. Saya tak tahu you guys masuk tidak. Waktu tu rendering, dia tak tahu kenapa. Dia tengok website lain guna ada rendering. So dia pun letak rendering. Rendering UPM sampai 1 minit tak habis-habis lagi. Tak upload lagi semua. Jadi orang tahu kita punya internet tu lousy. Jadi saya kata janganlah buat malu. So they pull out that. And they pull out the rendering. Orang lain nak tunjuk within 2 seconds dah ada semua kan. Ini UPM ni rendering. Tak keluar gambar semua. Those were the days lah. I think 5 years to 6 years back. Alhamdulillah ada perubahan. So that are the things yang saya nak mention tentang GPT. And this GPT leads to the theory that mentioned number 6 tu. Saya kata product life cycle. Now product life cycle is part of the theory yang juga Pak Cik RM Rogers ni perkenalkan. Saya tunjuk gambar. Okay, let me share. Okay. Oh, dia ada new features lah. Saya tiba-tiba keluar kat tepi dia. Oh, hebat lah. Saya pun tak pernah cuba features ni. Tiba Dr. Farid ada di ujung. Saya kagum lah. Saya kagum ada features ni. It's a new feature, subhanallah. Tengok, saya pun jadi gayat tiba-tiba boleh bilang, saya boleh lari. Subhanallah. Teknologi. Saya pun kagum. Subhanallah. Ini new features dia perkenalkan. Okay, tak apa. Kang cerita pasal diri sendiri pula Kang. Okay, now. Alright. Now, this is the, saya kita ambil satu. Okay. This is the theory where, sekejap, alih diri sini. Tunggu, letak tepi sekejap. Okay. Seronoklah alih-alih diri kan. Subhanallah untuk ni. Okay, now. What is this theory is about? Teori ni ada kaitan dengan any kind of innovation yang kita perkenalkan. The theory says, saya nak tunjuk, you all nampak jelas sikit. Okay, saya bagi contoh. I will share in our chat so that you guys boleh tengok bila-bila masa. Okay, that is the link. Okay. Product life cycle. Okay. Mana gambar tadi? Later. Okay. What it says that whatever is being introduced, there should be an introduction stage, growth, maturity, decline. This product life cycles is related to whatever innovation that you introduce, and how you want to gain the market by using this theory. Saya ambil contoh ni, dia bagus dia letak gambar ni. iPhone for instance. Ini saya nak relatekan bagaimana digitalization tu supposedly it makes relevant to every single time. Macam mana? Is by using this particular thing. Anything that you introduce into the market, it must be something which is new. So bila dia new, dia akan berada di peringkat introduction. Di introduction. And kemudian dia akan sentiasa naik. Dia akan growth. There is no such thing dia introduce kemudian dia terus terjunam. Tak akan ada. Itu falsafah, sememangnya falsafah kehidupan ni. Our life, whatever you introduce to the market, it must be supposing there's a slope here patutnya. Dekat mula-mula ni sepatutnya ada slope down and then baru dia naik balik. Sebab mula-mula macam kita lah. Nak kenal mula-mula, siapa pun tak kenal Dr. Farid. Sebab itu kalau you guys perasan, saya buat new rules untuk masuk group, our Facebook group. Ada soalan nak tanya, siapa saya? Dah 3 orang cuba nak masuk group tu, spammers. Dia nak masuk group kita tu, dia letak nama saya Ismail, saya punya nama A.Farid kan, dia letak M.Farid. Saya kata ni memang penipu jakun ni. Dia nak spammers. So usually when you want to introduce either yourself, branding is not only sebab ingat kita ingat is a individual or is a group, organization. So anything that you want to introduce, it must go through introduction stage. And then it grows to the growth, maturity, and after maturity, it must decline. Saya ulang, it must decline. So whatever innovation, apa juga kehidupan, ada seorang student zaman, I think 3 years back, dia kata dia angkat tangan, doktor, saya rasa teori ni salah. I think your seniors, seniors you all go. Budak PMK ni dia banyak bercakap sikit. Dia angkat tangan, dia kata, ni salah ni teori ni doktor. Kenapa? Nama dia salah. It's not a product life cycle. Ini patutnya teori ni kita panggil setiap yang hidup pasti akan mati. Saya pun tergelak dalam kelas. Product life cycle, setiap yang hidup pasti akan mati dia tu. Saya masa tu tersedak, insaf sekejap. Budak lelaki. Lepas tu dia gelak macam orang gila, dia gelak dalam kelas tu. Kamu kenakan saya ke apa, saya tak pastilah. But it's true. So using this theory, that's why, for instance, saya tunjuk tadi is the theory yang diperkenalkan oleh Pakcik Apple. You dapat tahu there is sekarang iPhone berapa? Berapa tu? Tak dengar. Berapa Amy?
13.
13. Okay. 13 ke 30? 13. 30, 13. 13 eh? 13. Ingat 30 saya tinggal lama dah pula kan. Okey. 13. Within 6 month. Ya. Kenapa you all fikir within 6 month dia perkenalkan 13S? Sebab apa? Sebab they already done the study within 6 month dia akan mature, kemudian dia akan decline. So whenever they introduce another new innovation so-called S, sebenarnya benda tu tak ada apa-apa beza, ada banyak beza ke? Siapa pakai iPhone? Tak banyak pun, dia tukar-tukar application je kan. You jailbreak sana, jailbreak ni, apa benda lah tu. Tiba-tiba dia kenalkan 13S, so the curve will go back to the first stage balik. Sebab tu iPhone sentiasa kaya, kita yang sentiasa kita sentiasa spend money for them. Ya. Whenever it goes to the decline punya curve ni, dia akan introduce S, people will start buying the new one. Especially macam saya cerita minggu lepas, orang yang sanggup tidur beratur, kawan baik saya siap duduk, siap buy me flight tickets to go to Sydney just to buy, but then didn't get anything. Yeah. So that was the reason why they introduce all these kind of things. So in short, by understanding this product life cycle, understanding the other theories, for instance, theories yang saya mentionkan tentang GPT, understanding the theories of diffusion of innovation in the last classes, by understanding that you can not to say manipulate, but you can manage whatever information system that you want to introduce to your company. Saya cerita senior you guys ada buat innovation Kejap lagi kita akan tengok proses tu apa dia sebenarnya. So those are the theories yang saya nak cerita pada you guys for chapter 1, 2 and part of chapter 3. Okay. Now let's go through a bit of to guide us. Okay. This is part of last week punya notes. I hope that you guys can go. Whenever you have time, you go back and check on the chapter 2 punya theory. Now, all right. So I just want to talk a bit of process. To understand how information system boleh improvise. Dalam satu organization, I hope that by now, everyone can understand why Dr. Farid is keep talking about organization. Why you need to understand the level of management. It's because every level difference have the different needs for information system. Now let's understand in what's happening in any of the company, any of the factory, for instance. Because you guys are the food management student, kan? Now, when you're talking about process, business process. Now, when you talk about business process, it doesn't mean that things that macam budak marketing buat. It doesn't mean that. A business process is something that ongoing collection of related activities that create product or services. So the process of, katalah buat cincaluk, is a process. It is considered as business process. Buat cincaluk, a production of, let's say, ice cream spirulina ke, or whatever that you guys have done. You guys ada buat product development? Oh, tak ada. Okay, tak apa. Ada buat proses food dalam lab, food processing belakang tu ada involved kan? Katalah buat mie, for instance. That is part of what you call as a business process. As long as they compromise of these three things. As long as there is input, there is a resources, then there is output. Output is whatever you come up with for the business, for the factory. Then there must be a business process. And when there is a business processes, there must be opportunities for information system to come into the picture and improvise the process. there must be opportunities. Jangan nanti bila orang cakap business process, you ingat buat kerja kelab. Buat kerja dalam office, because last semester we did interview Viva. Bila cakap business punya, you nak kerja apa? Nak kerja apa? I nak kerja business. Dia kata business. Okay, business. What are you referring to business? Your seniors refer to one of their senior lah, bukan semua one of the senior. Your senior refer to what is the business? Business kerja office lah doktor, dia kata. Bukan. Semestinya proses business dalam office. It can be in a factory itself. Yeah, the process of customer service. Yeah, I give you some instance. Yeah, okay. These are some of the instances that we have. Yeah, remember that last week I mentioned that there is functional areas. Yeah, ada accounting, ada finance, ada marketing, ada production. So each one of these, they have their own processes. For instance, dalam note yang saya bagi ni ada tulis, kalau accounting business processes, for instance, is managing invoice billing. People buat order, you buat order kat Lazada, mentang-mentang baru lepas 11.11 kan. Ramai yang shopping. Saya tak ada shopping, tapi rupanya mak saya beli baju kelawar baru. Ada, saya pun tak pernah dengar. Tiba-tiba hari Ahad tu, dia gelak orang sebelah. Hari Ahad pun ada orang hantar barang. Rupanya orang bagi salam depan rumah saya. JNT bagi barang depan rumah saya. She was talking about the neighbor. Rupanya dia yang dapat baju kelawar. Macam-macam ada. Apa mak? Saloma version punya lah. Macam-macam saya pun tak reti lah perempuan kan. Perempuan is always be perempuan lah. Sampai ke 68 years old pun kadang marah. Biar aku tak makan tengah hari je kan. Okay. Now, same goes to the other functional areas. Saya bagi contoh marketing business process. Yeah, promotion is one. Yeah, or katalah contohnya producing sales leads ataupun customer complaints. It's one process by itself. Yeah, setiap benda yang kita buat yang unik-unik tu, itu yang dipanggil sebagai processes. And as long as relate with your company, we call it as business processes. Please don't get it wrong when we say that business processes mesti kerja kelab, mesti kerja office, tak semestinya. Because if you look into this one, production, operation management, business processes, managing quality control, processing bill materials ataupun receiving. Saya sebut pasal ni, saya teringat. I give you one example kejap lagi. Saya punya own experience when one of the process I conducted my practical training. My internship was at Harvey Food Malaysia. Pernah dengar Harvey Food? Harvey Food Malaysia ni is McDonald's punya kilang roti. Okay, dia kilang roti. You guys semua dah buat internship kan? Belum? Lepas ni, ini cerita. Jangan buat perangai saya ya. Okay. Saya buat internship di sini ya. Sebab saya bekerja dengan my sweetheart masa tu, Xiu Peng. She's a very lovely Chinese girl. We was appointed at 1 week ya. 1 week tu kita orang masuk ke bahagian quality control. Saya nak bagi contoh managing quality control for finished goods and receiving, inspecting, stocking parts ya. Bagi contoh. It's a process. Now, they have a functional area yang kami masuk waktu tu was on the quality management, QA section. Kita orang daripada production duduk dengan bangla-bangla buat roti. Yang saya ingat lagi, saya dengan bangla tak ada beza masa tu. Memang tak ada beza. Cakap pun kepala mesti goyang masa tu kan. Bangladeshi kan. So panggil pun dah tak panggil bye, panggil bye masa tu dah panggil adik-adik dah masa tu masa internship tu. So masa kami dimasuk dalam quality control tu is your seniors. She is a PMK graduated from UPM. Miss Kalwan apa Kaur, Mr. Kaur, Miss Kaur kita orang panggil, Madam Kaur. Kaur is a Hindustani punya geng lah kot. Kaur kan, Punjabi kan. Now, what happened was, she said that, okay, Farid and Xiu Peng, you are appointed today to do on receiving and inspecting and stocking part. This is the process that we have to go through masa tu. Tapi to cut the story short, we have to receive I don't know what happened that day. Yeah, we have to receive the first thing early in the morning was yeast sebab buat roti kan. Yeah, Harvey Food ni wherever there is McDonald's, there should be Harvey. Sebab roti tu dibuat oleh kilang, hanya kilang Harvey Food dia boleh buat roti untuk McDonald's. Roti dia tak boleh orang lain buat sebab dia ada secret recipe. Secret recipe tu ada dia tak benar bawa keluar tapi saya jahatkan tulis. Allah tak bagi buku tu hilang. Sampai hari ni tak dapat. Saya dengan Syupeng, what is the recipe? We can do our own bakery later on. Habis semua hilang. Niat tak betul. Jangan buat. Now, during that day, what we have to do is we have to receive yeast. We have to receive flour, tepung daripada FFM, satu kontainer besar. And kemudian we have to receive sesame, all the way from Singapore datang. And then sesame, yeast, I think those are the three. And then we have to inspect the lorry yang McDonald punya lorry besar tu, where they have to pack all the roti masuk dalam tu and then send to all the branches. We have to inspect, inspecting ni. We have to inspect that lorry, make sure there is no contamination, cockroaches ke apa ke. And guess what? All four, starting from yeast, end up with sesame. Sesame ni datang daripada pelabuhan Kelang, datang daripada pelabuhan Johor, dengan lori datang ke KL, Subang Jaya. Started with yeast from Balakor. Lori tu saya tak ingat daripada mana. Tepung datang daripada all the way from Ipoh, FFM. Satu kontainer besar. Semua kami reject. Sampai GM turun. These 2 kiddos, put them back into the production line. We will be in loss because they're rejecting everything. Because we follow the rules. Ya, saya tengok yeast tu, saya check yang luar. Yang kata orang Melayu kan marah pula kan. Saya check kat luar je. Dekat sampai satu lori, coal-coalnya lori tu, saya check luar. Tapi this Yupeng, this sweet little girl ni, Farid wait I want to check the one inside. Dia boleh merangkak masuk dalam coal lorry tu. Dia go with the terminator, dia cocok ke dalam. And then suddenly the temperature is high inside. So meaning the yeast is already die inside. Dia nak jual kepada kami the whole apa ni, tak boleh. Farid, you see yes, let's you pay, okay. Ask Miss Call what to do. We have to reject. Yes, satu lori return. Production dah ganggu tu. Production tunggu. The process of production is waiting for us. Receiving and inspecting ni. And then flour pula sampai daripada Ipoh, FFM, Federal Flour Malaysia kan. Satu kontainer, saya pun naik atas tu, saya masuk. Check. Saya dah perasan banyak sangat sekedar. We have to do tapising kan. Tapising ni, menapis tu. Tapis, tengok ada sekedar tidak. Saya dah perasan dah banyak. Syupeng is okay. No, I don't think so lah. Your face look different when you check. Dia tahu tak. Dia pula naik pula. Dia pergi naik tu kontainer tu. Dia masuk pula, dia cocok pula. My best friend lah, Syupeng ni cocok. I told you your face look different. See so many things. All the dirts. So kalau buat 3 kali dirts banyak, we have to reject. We reject the whole container of tepung. Macam mana nak buat roti? Tepung pun dah tolak. Then the third thing is sesame. The SOP, SOP bukan sekarang je, masa saya tahun early 2000 dah ada SOP dah. The SOP says if the sesame is wet, you cannot accept. Kebetulan petang Jumaat tu hujan lebat. Sesame punya bekas tu daripada Johor, daripada Singapore all the way come from Australia, bila masuk pelabuhan tu. Pakcik lori ni lupa nak tutup. So the packet is basah. SOP said that cannot, we have to reject. We advise the management to reject. So all the thing is rejected. Dia orang kata these 2 kiddos are bad omen for us. Put them back in production. So what I want to tell you guys, each one of the process that I did is a business process. Check setiap benda tu. Tapi production yang tunggu kat dalam is other processes. And in terms of handling the vendor selection fast inspection tu is a different process. But every single thing, macam saya sebut last week, it must be a cross-functional processes. Apa yang berlaku dalam receiving yang saya buat tadi tu will relate to the processing, the operation of the bread inside. And because of us, that particular week, sebab dia hari Jumaat, reserving tu, they have to expand. Dia selama ni tugas kilang roti tu buka Isnin sampai Jumaat. But because of both of us, that week, they have to expand to Saturday and Sunday because the production of Friday tu terpaksa close. Sebab tepung tak ada. So that was the example that I want to give to you guys. In terms of the food industry, it always mentioning about processes, and each one of the processes is cross-functional to each one of them. And in this part of the story, where information system come into the process, masa tu kami isi borang. It would be lovely, kalau kami dah bagi sebagai PDA, for instance. Ataupun sekarang ni ada Apple punya tu, what do you call that? Pad. Ataupun tablet. For instance, the inspection now supposing to be in tablet. Saya still remember when I was polis Australia saman saya. Jangan gelakkan saya masa tu bawa kereta macam kereta kancil tapi berada di Australia. Bayangkan kancil macam Mr. Bean. Polis Australia pun daripada jauh dia tembak. Masuk into the system. Oh, this boy don't have the road tax yet. And they stop me immediately and they keep checking me not moving my car. How they did that? The police system is relate with the JPJ system lah katakan. Sebab tu dalam contoh kita ni, information systems is playing a very vital role. Very important role. Because it can help us not only to check on our own businesses punya processes, but also interrelated different functional areas. Saya bagi contoh satu lah for you guys to think about. Saya tak ada benda nak cakap kat sini kot. Okay, I give you one example. One example yang I want to mention to you guys is undi 18. Sebab orang Melaka sibuk pilihan raya kan. So saya pun ceritalah bab undi 18. What is about it? I let you guys think. Saya masa saya student dulu saya tak suka isytihar saya ni orang PKR ke saya ni orang, because to me student should be neutralized. You should sit in the middle and look at each one of those, kata moron kan marah pula kan. So those people who are playing in the political world ni, you duduk tengah-tengah you baca. So now I let you guys to think about this. Now the first time when one opposition party asked for undi 18. Undi 18 ni proses dia apa? Untuk memudahkan budak-budak 18 tahun mengundi secara automatik. Mula-mula kata tak boleh. Tiba-tiba sekarang kata boleh. Apa ceritanya? Ceritanya, you guys punya JPN punya apa panggil tu? IC, lupa pula. MyCard. MyCard sekarang panggil MyCard kan? MyCard have all the information that you want about yourself. Nanti chapter akan datang minggu depan kita akan sebut pasal privacy. You guys akan takut nanti bila saya kata all the data about you, where you from, what are you doing, everything is in your JPN. Sekarang license punya ada lesen mandu. Lesen mandu you MyCard lah. But you can opt to request another one. But basically everything is in your MyCard. Now how on earth budak lahir budak ada siapa-siapa ada kan, siapa ada anak kan tak adalah. Siapa yang ada adik-adik yang kecil tu kan. Dia budak-budak kecil pun dah ada MyCard tu. Now, how on earth this data is stored somewhere dalam JPN punya? How on earth you can say to all these youngsters, you all ni tak pernah mengundi ni, macam mana nak kata kat you all ni, kita tak boleh benarkan automatik mereka mengundi. Where is the data repository? Is with the JPN. And with JPN is the process of proses is menjadikan warga negara setiap orang yang lahir di Malaysia. The data is there. How on earth you can say to the Malaysian people that you cannot, what if 18 tahun keluarkan satu data. Tak boleh ke? Satu list. Kalau saya boleh buat gunakan UPM punya ESMP, saya boleh buat Saya boleh kata okey, siapa yang dapat grade A keluarkan satu list. Boleh tak saya buat? Boleh kan? Itu UPM punya senarai. Takkanlah Malaysia, JPN yang ada semua data, tak boleh nak buat all 18 years old and above make it as a voters. Tak boleh ke? I leave the question to you guys. Because it is the process. And the process is in the system. So it's up to us. Itu satu contoh saya nak bagi tentang kita punya proses. Proses untuk menjadikan Malaysian sebagai pengundi. It's a process. Proses tu boleh tak dipermudah cara dengan guna information system? Boleh. Tipu kalau tak boleh. Saya cakap tu je lah. Tipu kalau tak boleh. Sebab information system is there to permudahkan hidup kita. Takkan saya nak naik nama kamu semua, yang dapat senarai A, saya nak type seorang-seorang. Anometrik, saya nak type. Oh, tak adalah, tak ada kerja saya nak buat benda tu. Information system, remember that information system, there are two folds. One is to increase the efficiencies. Secondly is to help in terms of effectiveness. Effectiveness tu apa? Effectiveness tu untuk dia berjaya buat apa yang dia aim. Senarai nama semua orang penduduk Malaysia. Siapa sih? I'm a bit puzzled. It's all about the issue of either the human belakang the teknologi tu nak buat ke tidak. Contohnya macam dia panggil e-census. Banci penduduk. Dia kata 99% dah semua dijawab. Saya tak jawab. Sebab I didn't get the invitation. So macam saya nak invite you guys dalam saya punya kuliah. Saya boleh masuk ke semua email kan? Form saya hantar. Why you cannot do that to all Malaysian? Paulah semua orang tak boleh cakap, saya tak dapat invitation. Dr. Farid penipu. Boleh cakap. Tapi if they don't do that, again, I always tell my student, behind the technology is human. So human tu yang decide nak buat ke tak nak buat. But the beautiful idea of information system is to make sure that everything that the process, the business process, any business process can be improvised, and the improvisation of that particular business process is what you call as effectiveness. Berkesan atau tidak? Efektif. Berkesan tak? Macam mana cara penggunaan website yang berkesan? Dia mesti sentiasa upload. Jangan gambar sama setiap minggu. Contoh. Effectiveness, dia sampai tak kumpulan sasar. Semalam ada Malaysia ada isu. Malaysia ni banyak isu kan. Saya tengok berita pun pening kepala kan. Ada the new liquor. The new alcohol drink yang dikenal di Malaysia. Nama Timah. Ada kan? I relate with our food industry. Timah. Semua orang marah. Yalah, kesian siapa yang nama patut. Dr. Fatimah nak kena kan. Timah kan. Timah tak bersalah. Semalam saya dengar Dato' Alexander Linggi, Menteri KPDN HUP, dia buat statement sebabnya MyPo ni any companies yang nak introduce dia punya nama baru, nak buat branding, dia mesti melalui MyPo. MyPo mesti kata the name is good, then dia boleh pergi. Boleh guna nama tu. Tapi pengalaman saya dengan MyPo ni, minta maaf cakap lah, banyak isu yang dia tak double check. Contohnya, Timah. Dato' Alexander Linggi sebut, Menteri KPDN HUP sebut, kita dah publish kepada umum, sesiapa yang nak bangkang nama Timah sebagai minuman arak terkini daripada Malaysia. Tapi tak ada siapa pun yang buat bantahan. Jadi kita rasa tak ada orang bantah, kita terus. Sekarang I ask you one question. Who among you guys here got the notification that there is a company want to launch a liquor company nama Timah? Ada tak siapa sini dapat email ke, baca dalam surat khabar ke? Ada tak? Tak ada. So the failure is the ineffectiveness. Dia tak sampai kumpulan sasar. Contoh saya sharekan with you guys, e-rezeki. E-rezeki. Siapa di sini nak kerja mudah, dapat extra income every month, you guys pergi ke Type E Rezeki, nanti ada daripada MDEC, register nama setiap seorang, you guys dapat kerja percuma daripada Malaysian Digital Economic Community for free. Every month boleh dapat dalam RM400 percuma. Tapi kena buat kerja lah. Kalau contohnya data entry ke apa ke. Kalau benda ni sampai tak ke you guys? Tak sampai kan? Kalau Dr. Farid tak beritahu. Dr. Farid tak tahu kalau tak terbaca Rosham Noor punya posting. Yeah. So the idea is communication wise tak sampai kepada kumpulan sasar. Penjana. Ya. Dia kata orang bujang boleh dapat RM300. Saya bujang, saya minta saya tak dapat. Kenapa? Information tak sampai. Haris lepas ni minta RM300. Bujang kan? Bawah umur 40 boleh pergi minta. Perempuan pun boleh, bukan lelaki je bujang. Perempuan pun bujang juga. But this information is not delivered successfully to the kumpulan sasar. This is what you call as ineffectiveness. Tidak berkesan. Saya nak tunjukkan apa komunikasi berkesan, komunikasi tak berkesan. I used to be the auditor for komunikasi UPM. Ya. Lepas daripada tragedi saya menjadi auditor, lepas tu UPM tak ada berkenal dah auditing komunikasi sebab saya habis semua orang saya kata salah. Sebab betul. Student tak dapat informasi yang kata kuliah akan buka pada minggu ke-8. Siapa yang perasan nota tu diletak dalam ESMP? Orang masuk ESMP nak tengok kehadiran, nak tengok markah. Ada yang masuk ESMP nak tengok announcement. Announcement patutnya buatlah kat Facebook ke, hantar ke email student. Walau student buka email, ada dia pergi UPM. Bestnya dapat daripada UPM baru nak buka. So these are the things that sometimes we mislook of this. Actually, it is in terms of information system, it's supposed to improvise our process and everything. Yeah? And it comes to my agenda number 5. Yeah? Nombor 2 saya dah cover, nombor 1 dah cover, nombor 5 kan? Sekarang pukul apa? 11 suku. Okey, cantik. Pukul 12 kita berhenti. First time habis pukul 12 hari ni. Kalau boleh awal, saya cuba habiskan awal. Now, understand business process. Saya harap semua dah faham. And then I want to go to yang nombor 5, agenda nombor 5. BPI and BPR. What does it mean? Bukan Badan Pencegahan Rasuah, bukan Bumi Putra Fokus. Yes, saya.
Share screen ke tak?
Sekarang mau saya share.
Okay.
Okay, alright. Now, tadi memang saya tak share. Okay. Sebab kan bebel-bebel kan gambar belakang lain kan, student kata mana untuk ni cerita pasal apa kan. Okay, alright. Right now, saya share this one. Okay, this one. Now you're talking about business process improvement. You dah faham proses, yeah? You dah faham proses. There are two things. One is what you call business in process improvement. Macam tadilah contohnya, kita nak jadikan semua warga negara Malaysia 18 tahun jadi pengundi. Ya? Boleh tak dia buat? Boleh. Boleh. Tapi dia kena kaji sistem tu, kemudian dia improvise. Macam mana nak improvekan proses tu? Kita tambah satu command. What if Malaysian citizen 18 years old as keluar jadi sebagai pengundi? Habis kita. Ya, itu proses improvement. Macam mana nak jadi, you guys cuba fikir sekarang. Sekarang COVID, tak ada orang Melaka sini. Siapa kata COVID dah tak ada? COVID is always there. Tak ada remedy. Tak kesian orang Melaka nak pergi ngundi. Kalau saya jadi orang Melaka, saya tak nak ngundi. Yeah? And you guys have to be the new generation. The new generation have to think in out of the scope. Business people kata think out of the box. Orang Melayu kata fikir luar daripada tempurung. Ya? Jangan fikir di bawah tempurung, dia tutup. Atau bahasa Melayunya jumut. Pemikiran tu tak berkembang. Kita dah buat pilihan raya secara beratur. Siapa dah ada, semua dah ada pengalaman undi kan? Kalau saya hari tu last year 2018, I was the last person to cast my vote. dekat kawasan saya. Sebab saya sibuk membawa mak saya, atuk saya, pak lang saya undi. Lupa aku belum undi masa tu. Dah nak 4:45, menggelupur lagi. Kali polis tu kata, you orang terakhir lah masuk kan, nak masuk dia kata. I was the last person to cast my vote. Lepas tu pusat undi tu tutup. Itu pun saya, polis dekat depan pintu tu cakap, tuan, masuk kaki sebelah. Kalau takkan tuan kena halau. Saya masuk kaki sebelah dalam pusat undi. Jadi bila SPR tu pandang, encik, kami nak tutup, kaki saya dah masuk sebelah. Dia terpaksa bagi saya masuk. Okay? Sampai macam tu proses nak mengundi. Sekarang orang Melaka tengah risau ni hari Sabtu ni. Macam mana nak mengundi? Can you imagine that everyone can put the distance 1 meter tu? Saya cakap dengan mak saya, minggu lepas saya pergi beli Yong Tau Fu dekat Pasar Malam. Pasar Malam kan dah buka sekarang. Yong Tau Fu tu pun tak sabar. Depan lah sikit bang, sebab sabarlah, orang depan ada, abang pergi depan, yang depan tu pergi bang, dah bergaduh, nak beli Yong Tau Fu pun bergaduh tu, macam mana nak beratur panjang untuk pilihan raya, nak ngundi. Kenapa, saya tanya kenapa kalau di universiti boleh perkenalkan e-voting, kenapa Malaysia tak boleh? Selarai nama ada, security hebat, MCMC apa benda lah. Kan hebat. Tapi kenapa kita tak nak perkenalkan e-voting kat Malaysia? Kan senang makcik-makcik tu macam mak saya. Kan senang tau. Kursi roda tu nak bawa dekat sekolah. Bukan senang tau. Kenapa kita tak permudah? Ini cara nak permudahkan orang, permudahkan the process of mengundi contohnya, is what you call as business process improvement. Saya bagi nampak benda yang berlaku sekarang ni supaya you all boleh nampak. Oh itu. Boleh improvise tak? Boleh improvise. So if we can improvise using information system, that is what you call as business process improvement. Ada satu lagi yang kita panggil sebagai business process reengineering. Ini radikal. Ya. Kalau dulu kita mengundi, kita tak nak mengundi cara tu dah. Kita mengundi cara baru. Macam mana cara baru? Guna pen daripada jauh kan tu. Itu radikal betul tu. Daripada jauh nampak gambar, boleh ni. Contoh. Ataupun radicalness tu contohnya kita tukar everything, we change at one sum. Ini very radical. I won't suggest you guys to do this kind of thing. Because M. Nasir kata dalam lagu dia, jangan kita melawan arus. Kalau kucundang habis kau dihina. Jangan. Tapi kalau dah nak juga, buatlah. Okay? So, these are the two things. If you can do the PPI, you can do the PPI at first. Using information system. Ini yang kita katakan information system within an organization. Okay? So, samalah juga dengan you guys. Kalau dulu kita promote diri kita. Kenapa doktor nak promote diri kita, doktor? Bukan saya, kamu semualah. Nak dapatkan advantage, competitive advantage compared to your other friends. That's why saya kata dalam lab minggu lepas, saya nak setiap seorang ada CV online. That is contoh business process improvement dalam individu. Kalau kita boleh buat apa salahnya? Tapi jangan jadi macam saya lah. Saya sekolah seorang profesor, terus saya tak dapat apa-apa award lepas tu. Sebab kadang-kadang orang tak nampak benda ni. Sebab some people, they cannot accept they change. Barack Obama always say change kan. Terus dia menang presiden juga. So this is about time for us to be critical because information system is there. For us to improvise whatever we have in the system. Okay. So that is what BPR and BPI. Okay. And talking about that, saya terus cerita pasal ni. Ada soalan sebelum tu? Lupa tanya soalan, astagfirullahaladzim. Orang tu ni cerita dia sedap, cerita dia lupa. Dr. Wan Malaysia kata, I love to hear you storytelling, Farid. Sibuk je aku storytelling dia tu. Pertanyaan cerita kanak-kanak. Okay. Any question? Ada Now, talking about change tadi. Okay. Change tadi relate with one of the theory yang kenal, satu dunia kenal. Kalau you all dah masuk kelas Dr. Farid, tak kenal Pakcik Porter. Main tak masuk kelas saya lah gitu. Pakcik Porter ni one of the strategic manager, strategic management punya professor yang introduce this what you call as business pressures. And nanti later on dia perkenalkan pula value chain. Ni, Porter's value chain. Apa yang nak buat? Apa yang kita nak improvise? Every section in the business can be improvised with computer-based information system. Saya dengar semalam di Awani, value chain is supply chain, supply chain panjang. Tapi value chain is activity through within organization inputs whatever there are yang bagi yang ada value added. That is a value chain. Kalau dulu kita buat supply chain macam tak ada traceability contohnya. You guys dalam food punya industri ni very crucial about food safety, betul? Kenapa kita tak buat traceability? Boleh trace apa yang kita buat. SOP ni dah lama. SOP ni daripada saya belajar dulu dah cerita dah. Standard Operating Procedure. HACCP, you guys tahu kan? HACCP, critical point. Yang apa yang kerajaan buat sekarang, SOP tu is actually HACCP. Yang ada standard operating procedure ni apa maksudnya? Standard operating procedure ni apa nak buat dalam setiap proses. Itu dia. Proses nak beli kuih ada proses dia. So dekat mana kita letak critical CCP point ni? So CCP point tu kita have to detect. That was the things that semalam saya dengar dalam Awani, nak cerita mana Awani semalam tu. Dia kata tak jelas. Apa CCP point untuk mengundi? Bila you tak dapat detect what are the critical point, you cannot use information system to improvise the whole SOP. Ini isu dia. Ini isu dia. Sebab kita dah detect SOP tu cantik dah, bagus. Memang semua benda kena ada SOP. Macam nak solat lah for Muslim kan. Mesti ada SOP. Bolehkah angkat takbiratul ihram 3 kali sekali berhenti. Semang guling baru turun. Boleh ke tak boleh kan? Macam sekali angkat je. Itu SOP lah. Tapi janganlah dalam solat pula kamu nak masukkan information system. Kan parah pula kan. Jangan yang mana yang tetap je tetap. Jangan tukar-tukar. So what I'm trying to say here is that within the theory of Porter's, they said that every segment of the supply chain can be improvised by using information system. But first thing first is to determine apakah faktor-faktor yang mempengaruhi setiap penggunaan. Contohnya dari segi business pressure. Kalau di cerita sini, apa dia business pressure? Masalah business pressure, for instance, COVID. It's a business pressure. Semua kedai kena tutup. Menangis. Bagi saya, bila tourism, saya very close with tourism ni. Orang kata tourism industri yang paling hina lah, yang paling teruk, kemudian paling lambat buka. Saya rasa itu is a wrong perception given. Bagi saya tak tahu lah you guys. Saya selalu cakap hikmah COVID. Saya selalu buat hikmah COVID. Sebab kita kena sangka baik dengan Allah. Baru Allah sangka baik dengan kita. Kan? Kalau kita asyik sangka buruk, ini jahat nak bagi kita bodoh, kita buat susah je kita kan. Kalau betul Tuhan bagi susah baru menangis kan. So we have to think positive. To me, the time yang Tuhan berhentikan is a time where saya masa kecil-kecil dulu ada tengok cerita teenagers yang dia tekan masa berhenti. Cerita-cerita Walt Disney lah. Sekarang Tuhan berhentikan 2 tahun. 2 tahun Tuhan squeeze the time, berhentikan time tu untuk kita apa? Muhasabah. And I was always tell my friends daripada fakulti perhutanan kontak untuk saya buat satu model untuk bisnes. I think the first thing saya kata, mentality have to be changed. During the pandemic is the time where we muhasabah. Kenapa bisnes aku kurang? Kenapa orang bisnes orang putih berjaya? Kenapa bisnes orang ni boleh digitalize? Kenapa aku tak boleh? The realized digitalization. This is what it's been told by Porter's, is where we examine all these pressures. Organizational pressure. Muhasabah lah bahasa Arab dia, bahasa Islam dia muhasabah. Ataupun koreksi diri. So when we understand all this, then only we can improvise any of the process, any of the organization punya segment kepada benda yang bagus. Itu yang senior you guys dekat Pematang Pauh, kilang kicap. Dia duduk dalam kilang tu untuk intern dia. Dia tengok ada bottleneck. Bottleneck tu mana tempat yang masalah dalam company tu, dalam kilang tersebut. Masalah dalam kilang kicap tersebut, pekerja dia suka melepak keluar isap rokok. Jadi banyak kali kilang kicap tu terlepas dia punya production. Sebab dia monitor by human So this you punya senior PMK ni, saya lupa nama that girl yang saya kata saya datang, dia orang raih saya macam menteri besar datang ke kilang tu. She saw the bottleneck is at the human resource. She introduced Excel file je. Siapa performance, dia masuk waktu kerja macam mana, and then kalau tak perform, kita buang dia. Kita tolak gaji dia sebagainya. She introduced that, the bottleneck tu buka. Semua pekerja tak bisa rokok dah. Isap rokok waktu lunch time je. Dia orang boleh. Semua masuk, production increase. The company itu punya production of the kicap naik. And because of that, she got the job. Kemudian saya ajar dia cara nak tambah gaji. Saya kata kat bos, you nak berhenti nak menikah. Naik lagi gaji. Naik gaji. Belum masuk kerja dah naik gaji. Begitu how you examine all the pressures and then see what are the things that you can improvise, and then you can move forward in terms of that particular thing. Okay, saya rasa saya dah cakap semua benda belum? Okay, BPI, competitive process, advantage process tu yang saya tunjuk tadi. So you understand the whole process, what are the challenges, and then you can improve that particular process. Yang enterprise resource planning ni, okay, is when you look into each one of the process, macam mana you nak guna information system untuk improvise satu proses. ERP tu, ERP tu ialah bila you nak integrate satu proses yang lain dengan proses yang lain, ataupun daripada satu company kepada company yang lain. Macam UPM nak beli barang daripada McDonald kata. Dua entiti berbeza. We have to connect using internet connection, of course. Sebab tu sekarang ni semua cerita pasal connectivity. Connectivity is part of GPT yang saya cerita tadi tu. Networking. Kalau kita nak buat digitalization, the networking is not there. Tak boleh. Jangan seksi orang kampung. Saya orang kampung. Orang bandar duduk internet. Oh, kita buat ni. Saya tengok semalam Mawani dia nak jual Keria Kak Long. Keria Kak Long di Melaka. Saya kalau boleh saya nak belajar. Kasihan. I'm very... Lah kita tengok orang kampung, tapi connectivity di kampung apa dia kata dekat Alur Gajah lah. Connectivity internet sini bang. Dia cakap dengan Nazri Kaha awan. Sekejap ada macam biskut, kejap ada, kejap tak ada. Macam mana? So the networking is the most important. Kalau tak ada, buat dulu. Jangan kata kampung jalur lebar, jalurnya tak nampak. Lebar jalan yang nampak kan. Jalur tu ada tidak bawah tu, Wallahualam. So don't play around with the people. Kita tak nak beza orang kampung. Saya ingat saya duduk di Australia, tempat kampung. Saya berbangga. Saya tutup kita punya kelas today with this story of mine. Saya dulu diajar oleh Tuhan dengan cara yang cukup. Saya selalu macam tu. Saya selalu cakap mak saya. Allah suka mengajar saya melalui experience. Sebab tu saya buat experience based learning dengan student saya. Masa saya di Australia, the first part of my study there, the first 2 years, I was so bragging. Belagak. Sebab universiti nombor 5 dunia. University of Western Australia. Saya jumpa kawan-kawan saya, you guys, kau universiti, coki. I punya universiti kat bandar. Tengah-tengah bandar Perth ni. Internet tak sempat tekan dah sampai dah. Begitu lajunya tu. Sekali 2 tahun lepas tu, supervisor saya berpindah. Macam contohnya daripada UPM, dia pindah kepada, marah pula orang UiTM. Pergi ke UUM lah cerita, UUM. UUM bukan di Malaysia, di Bangladesh katakan. Okay, UUM Bangladesh, bukan di Malaysia. So, I diajar orang Tuhan supaya pergi ke universiti yang rendah sikit lah. Bukan rendah sikit, rendah banyak kot. Sebabnya duduk dalam masa the first 2 years I was in Australia, I duduk screen saya sebagai PhD student, 2 screen besar. untuk buat kerja. Sampai dekat universiti baru tu, duduk dalam kontena. Kontena macam construction container. Duduk dalam kontena, nak print pun dia suruh saya bawa ink sendiri. Saya experience the white people punya supremacy saya alami, discrimination. Depan supervisor saya kata, oh, you can use anything, but you don't dare to touch that printer. Wow. So I experienced this. So in short, what I'm trying to say, if you want to make sure that the digitalization, where everyone can take advantage on information system, competitive advantages, everything must be level. Orang kampung ke, orang bandar ke, orang Curug Miku kat kampung mak saya ke, ataupun orang Pematang Pauh ke, orang Ulu Kinta ke, orang apa ni, kat Pahang tu apa namanya? Siapa orang Pahang? Kat orang dekat, saya ada seorang student dulu daripada Besut, Terengganu. Setiap kali nak buat meeting FYP tak boleh buat. Saya kat Rumah Hatuk. Rumah Hatuk saya di Besut. Besut tak ada internet lah tu. Habis. Kita nak kalau boleh networking ni dekat mana area pun satu Malaysia ni, covered. Then only you can start talking about digitalization. Lepas tu baru boleh cerita digitalization. Kalau tidak, kesian makcik-makcik kat kampung. Kesian orang nak berniaga di Alor Gajah tu, nak berniaga kuih keria tu. Dia nak jual kuih keria. Dia kata, saya teringin nak jual kuih keria ni. Hantar pakai apa bang panggil? Dia tanya editor awal ni. Apa panggil? Move. Dia sebut lala move. Dia sebut lala move. Tapi tak tahu apa yang move. Apa yang move tak tahu lah kan. So orang kampung nak. People want that because of the internet revolution. But we must make sure that networking is there. So that everyone. Everyone. Yang nak belajar online ke, yang nak berniaga online ke, semua dapat the same world is flat. Then we can see how tremendous information system can change our people, can change our mentality towards the better of everyone. Terima kasih Aimi kerana setuju dengan pandangan saya. Terima kasih banyak. So any question before I postpone our today's lecture? Kan Dr. Farid bebel lebih-lebih kan, saya pun pening apa saya bebel mesti ingat kan. Okay. Ada soalan? Ataupun nak bagi pandangan ke? This is my burning, tak cerita kan doktor, nanti malam tak boleh tidur. Cerita. Ada saya buat cerita? Nak share? Tak ada? Okay, ada sesiapa lain yang kata? Nak komen ke, nak kata, betul lah doktor, saya rasa patut buat e-vote lah pilihan raya akan datang. Kita vote daripada rumah je, tak payah beratur banyak. Kan? Buka tu, kitanya MC kan terror. Orang cerita sikit je dekat Facebook, semua dah kena tangkap. Betul tak? They can do that. Dalam chapter number 4 nanti, minggu depan insyaAllah kita cerita pasal ethics, privacy, information security. Ada yang lepas tu kalau tak tidur malam lepas tu kan. Macam mana saya nak kata semua orang, we all, bukan you, we all are not safe. Even when I speak ni pun ada orang lain dengar ni. Habis jeng, ada tak tidur malam ni sekarang. Okay, I think that's all for today's lecture. InsyaAllah, we will meet with the groups for lab tomorrow insyaAllah on Khamis. Okay, I think that's all. Tak ada soalan So I hope you guys can understand. In my subject, you don't have to remember. Jangan nak remember. Understand is more important. Bila you understand, soalan exam tu nanti mesti tanya pasal kefahaman you je. Kalau tak, dia tak ada apa kebat kemahiran berfikir aras tinggi. Dia suruh you all berfikir. Dia tak ada nak suruh muntahkan semula apa itu GPT-1. Tak ada. Okay. So I think by that, that's all that I want to share with you guys today. I hope that I've shared some of the little knowledge that I have with you guys. And try to observe to sekitaran you sebabnya information system is related to us. Sebab apa Dr. Farid suka subjek ni, mengajar subjek ni daripada food tech dulu, sebab food tech dulu masuk dalam lab. Tengok macam apa ni, kenapa tak jadi warna ni? Pening kepala, buang sabun uji. Saya suka nak observe. Observe apa, macam saya bagi satu assignment pada mak saya. Saya bagi assignment dia, sepatutnya hari ni dia kena come up with the idea to me. Saya bagi assignment kat mak saya malam tadi, saya kata, mak, apa yang mak nak bila mak buka handphone, apa yang mak nak? Orang tua tu dah terkebil-kebil lah. Apa nak tanya Wan, saya suruh tanya nenek saya. Tanya Wan apa yang dia nak, dia buka je telefon nak nampak apa? Sebab apa saya tanya tu? Sebab one of my friend, cerita terakhir Dr. Farid suka cerita. One of my friend from Korea, Anyong City, he came to Malaysia and then he said to me, Farid, umur dia berapa tau? 21 tahun. And then saya cakap lah, what is actually your real profession back in Korea? You want to know? You want to know? From what I know you have all the expertise. You know all the theories in e-marketing, e-commerce, all mention everything lah, Rid. You know. But you know what is my job? I'm the one of the owner of the applications in Korea to promote tourism. And I am a millionaire. Saya nganga mulut tu. Can I slap your face dia? Boleh tak saya tampar muka kamu dia tu? Because you know all the theories, but you don't have any application for yourself. You're stupid, man. Dia tampar muka saya. Budak 21 tahun tampar muka saya. Saya masa tu, itu sebab saya suruh mak saya buat assignment tu. Sebabnya, manalah tahu sesiapa nak join saya nanti, we can come up with apps for the old folks on the phone. Sekarang semua orang sibuk nak come up with the Squid game lah. Mungkin ada satu game yang orang tua suka main. Kita tahu. Main congkak online ke kan. So anyone interested can come and see me for your project or whatsoever. Saya end our session with that story. And keep in mind, observe and think what you can improve our society, our community with information system. I think that's all. Thank you very much. InsyaAllah, the things that I share with you guys can benefit for your understanding in this subject, insyaAllah. Okay, thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak. Assalamualaikum. Bye-bye, guys.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Thank you, Doktor.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you, Doktor. Doktor,
You saya.
saya nak cakap something pasal sebab esok saya macam tak boleh masuk lab session sebab saya ada appointment dengan dental clinic.
Alright.
Saya nak inform doktor. So nanti kalau apa-apa nanti saya bagi MC saya dekat doktor lah. So saya nak kena cabut saya punya wisdom tu sebenarnya. So
Ya
maybe
ke? Bawah
maybe
atas.
boleh.
Bawah atas.
Bawah.
Saya faham. Saya pun tengah sakit gigi. Duduk pula ni. Okay, so do take care esok. Nanti bagi anything, so you punya group member lah, report to me nanti.
Okay.
Okay, alright. Take care. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.